think women need to understand the development of men. And if you really want to look at what a man's supposed to be, let's put the quote air quotes on it. Just look at what a woman's natural expectations are of him. All right. So we can say a woman can pay her own bills, but do you really want to? There ain't no woman on this panel that enjoys that would rather spend her own money than her man's money. Anybody feel like telling me I'm wrong? You can say that, but it's in your nature. If all the other women around you are being taken care of by their men, you won't feel as bold pulling out your own checkbook. That's what I'm saying. That's the game that women play.
Do you think that there are certain things that men should be doing in relationship? And if they're not, you wouldn't consider them a real man, or do you also agree that the way of thinking is toxic?
I think that they're fundamentally things that a man should do. And I think we've gotten away from that and we need to wheel it back in. Everybody need to get back on board with the way that things used to be, which is why I post a lot of animal videos, because all you gotta do is go to nature and they'll tell you how this shit's supposed to go. Go look at a wild fucking hyena will tell you how this shit's supposed to go. So I think that there's fundamentally things that a man should do. And then you start adding sprinkles on top, which I think are relative and that can be toxic. When you talk about provide, protect, understanding, things like that, creating safety, even like being patient, which we talked about, just more like soft skill. There are fundamentally things that a man should do. When you start getting toxic, it's like, oh, a real man would have called you back after, and it's like, now, girl, he may not have liked you, maybe it just wasn't, but there are fundamentally, there's a starter kit a real man should do package, and I feel like we need to me, it's a staple and it's a standard, and I think we should get back to that.
What about you, Jay? Are there certain things in a relationship that you expect a man to do?
Of course.
What's that?
I feel like, first of all, the statement depends on the topic.
Okay.
Because holding him accountable for not doing the certain things that you are looking for him to do or need him to do or probably expressed when y'all first started dating should be done. So I don't feel like it's as toxic as y'all make it seem to be.
Okay.
I think it could be just, if I may add, it could be a dangerous trope as well, too, because when men talk about, oh, well, y'all, you want a YN or you want an emotional man? Like, do you want us to express ourselves and express our feelings? And then when you start talking about a real man, I think it opts men out of other characteristics that they may offer that are valuable as well. As we talked about, it's not just about providing, protecting, and things like that. When you talk about just communicating, patience, I don't know if some women may consider that real man quality. So I think it can be a dangerous trope as well when you talk about that.
KD, what do you think? Do you think that there is certain things that define masculinity? Of
course.
Okay, what would those things be?
Well, let me go back to this. So when you talk about real man, whose definition? By whose definition?
That's my point.
Because unless there is a consistent definition across the board, who's to say that that definition is the right one? Mm-hmm. So you may need something from a guy, and if he doesn't do it, then he's not a real man. You may need something different. So we got to deal with that part.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. The danger of defining manhood for others. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. A real man. That's what they was talking about.
Yeah, JR, I think it was a Freudian slip by her, right? Because she was talking about in the wild, and then she mentioned hyenas, right? But hyenas are matriarchal, right? So even the example she used didn't make sense, right? And the real man trope is the same thing as they use leadership, you the leader, right? Men get called sassy from an emotional person with an emotional response when they deem him conveniently too emotional. And this is what how real man is used as well.
So there's a few things that I was raising I brought, and I was actually glad that the man that was in the video said that we have to just define what a man is, because quite frankly, there's a lot of definitions floating around in the ether about what a man should do, what a man should be. However, men define who they are. And we are, as women, I think we're supposed to be responsive to whatever that definition is. The other thing about it is that I'm going to speak from personal experience. My father was my example for how a man should act, how a man should be. There's the statistics don't lie. We have an absence of fathers in, actually, I don't want to go for there, but it's a lot. The definition of man, I believe it first comes from a man witnessing who his father or how his father acts, and then it kind of goes. He develops himself over his over the years. I find me stuttering because I'm like, there are so many things that are wrong with that clip, but I'm gonna start with the fact that you've got women talking about men being sassy. What is? I've never heard of this, so thus.
You know, I listen to that lady sometimes. Like she's catching fire out here. I mean, Hamp really he picked it apart. That's why I was just like, you used hyenas. Like that's the word. Like literally, we use that to basically tell women they don't know anything about the development of men, right? So I think not only was it a Freudian slip, it was just indicative of how bad the um, the mindset between of men and women are in modern day society. What a man should be like, just stop. And I think it has to do a lot with the presence of women in the mainstream space, always wanting to define everything. So we let them do that. We give them mics. We don't censor anything they say. We don't check them on anything. So who's to say when they can stop making assumptions about anything? You know what I mean? They'll redefine anything if we give them the opportunity. So on this particular topic, though, I think women need to understand the development of men. And if you really want to look at what a man's supposed to be, let's put the quote air quotes on it. Just look at what a woman's natural expectations are of him. All right. So we can say a woman can pay her own bills, but do you really want to? There ain't no woman on this panel that enjoys that would rather spend her own money than her man's money. Anybody feel like telling me I'm wrong? You can say that, but it's in your nature. If all the other women around you are being taken care of by their men, you won't feel as bold pulling out your own checkbook. That's what I'm saying. That's the game that women play. All right, men, the game that men play is he who has the most wins, the most things. The game that women play is he who is the best kept wins. Right? So the development of men, women really need to understand. Don't infringe on the development of any man. Stand back. What are your expectations of him? You expect him to take care of his family? Stand back and let him do that. Don't ever stand in his way or anything that's going to hinder his development in that fashion. Don't stand in front of him and say we're equals because you're not. The expectations he has of you and the ones that you have of him are not equal. The pressure that he has on him to take care of the whole family, right? In fact, let me walk it back a little bit. Never call somebody your equal who's not standing next to you when it's time to take the blame. That's how we know men and women are not equal. A woman, I ain't never seen a woman stand in front of a man and say, it's all my fault. Don't blame him. I ain't never in my life seen that shit. So when we look at what men are supposed to be, just look at a woman's natural expectations of them, and we'll get a much clearer picture.
So we can start with biblically, right? If you look at it biblically, man is defined in numerous ways, but the one most common thing you'll hear the Bible define man.
Stan, before you go, are you using your phone?
I am. Can you not hear me?
Do you have a case over it?
You know what? It's standing on a stand. Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, it's better if you can. I
Okay.
think the microphone is being covered. But go
Oh,
ahead. I'm sorry.
might have
I
been. I'm
didn't
sorry.
want you to speak too much and then get to it and we can hear you.
Gotcha. So basically, I was just saying that biblically, the Bible mostly describes or defines man as just strength, right? So then the question is, well, what's strength? Strength can be defined subjectively amongst who you ask. The part I didn't really agree with what he said was you never met a woman that may do A or B, and that could be so for himself, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I know some tons of, well, not tons, but I do know women who it hold certain roles. It's what a woman's looking for to satisfy herself, right? And there's certain expectations that a woman may have, and that's why things have changed so much today because society has conditioned women to have certain levels of expectation, and men have been conditioned to kind of have these new expectations, and so I think a lot of that is shifting, and so it's complicating what really is a true definition of man. But if you just take it back biblically, it really is leadership, strength. Bless you, that's my dog. Leadership, strength, and and that's really what it is. What a man does to define strength and leadership can be subjective based on what the woman is looking for.